Hello everybody and welcome to Round Few Reviews, back with a Hong Kong content review. This time diving into two Ringo Lam movies in basically anticipation of the exciting brand new release from 88 Films' Twin Dragon, which is co-directed by Troy Hawk and Ringo Lam Jackie Chan film, which I've never seen. Very excited to check them out. And I figured, let's dive back into the collection, let's see what I haven't seen yet of Ringo Lam. And there's a few movies that I just discovered, two being the Full Alert, released by Eureka, that was done I think last year, that I didn't get a chance to review or go and check out until recently. I think this was during the time when I moved, and also on the Hong Kong Legends DVD remastered, which I've heard nothing but good things for a very long time. Heard both good things about both films, and I figured very appropriate being Full Alert, Full Contact, and I figured let's do a double bill, let's talk about these films and let's see what they have to offer. I have mentioned Ringo Lam quite a few times on the channel, and I have reviewed quite a few of his movies, with the City on Fire movies and some of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I think he's a fantastic director. I just feel like some of his stories, I just feel like some of the execution on some of the movies that I have seen just haven't been as good as they could be, or something's a bit lacking, or it kind of meanders a little bit, goes off on one. And I think I've seen some of his kind of unfortunate kind of movies that have done that, but also I have seen some brilliant movies with Burning Paradise, which was on the Vinegar Syndrome release and on Eureka release also, and that was absolutely brilliant. And that was something that I've never seen Ringo Lam do in his career, and just offered something so completely bonkers and wild and fun and so much energy. So without further ado, let's start this video with Full Contact.
One of the most daring films from 2 decades of action cinema. Full Contact.
Full Contact was released in 1992, directed by Ringo Lam, of course, and this film is fucking fantastic. This film is completely bonkers. I've got to say it straight off the bat. Full Contact, wow, this film is everything that I heard it was, everything that I hoped it would be, and this film delivered exactly the type of film that I wanted to see for a fun kind of evening, just watching some cool Hong Kong movies. And again, nice to get a good surprise yet again from Ringo Lam. I absolutely loved Burning Paradise when I first watched that from the Vinegar Syndrome release, and checking out 2 more of these movies recently. This film absolutely fucking delivered, and it was brilliant. Starring Chung Yun-fat, a badass motorcyclist, kind of, biker kind of character, gunplay, knife play, fights, all sorts of crazy stuff going on in this film with his character. And as mentioned before on many times on the channel, Chung Yun-fat, doesn't matter if he's in a bad film, doesn't matter if he's in an okay film or a brilliant film, he is always good. He can do no wrong. However, if he's in a brilliant film, everything else, it just makes it just all more special. And this film really delivered. You got a brilliant cast. You got Anthony Wong, which I've mentioned recently within The Untold Story, plays a really good character in this one. Starts off as a kind of cowardless type of character, a friend who's friends with Chung Yun-fat and his little crew. Very spineless, very kind of, afraid, and basically made a lot of mistakes and owes money to loan sharks he shouldn't have done. This leads to a very drastic character alteration, and there's definitely some conflict between him and Chung Yun-fat's character. I can't leave it to the film itself, but surprising to see a bit of range, really, kind of thing, within that kind of character and the performance. Definitely goes for a bit of a growth kind of spirit from the start all the way to the end, and nice to see Anthony Wong in a really kind of badass kind of role. He's definitely played some brilliant characters later on, obviously with the Giant Toe films and Infernal Affairs, but this one he definitely goes from the kind of spineless, kind of cowardly type character, comedic type character, a much more of a harder, much more meaner, spirited character, which is nice to see that kind of alteration. I can't change. We also have Simon Yip in the film, which is absolutely brilliant. Again, chewing the scenery in this one, playing a flamboyant, psychopathic gay gangster, which has these really bright kind of purple suits and says the most outlandish stuff, and is just so kind of nasty and violent, and also just so so whatever kind of attitude, in the sense he plays a character called Judge, which is kind of the main bad guy of the film, and he is brilliant as well. Simon Yap, man, is just absolutely phenomenal in this, and all the cast members in the film, all the supporting cast members are really memorable. All the characters are really memorable in this film. Very easy recognizable names, but the film itself is just pure energy, pure fun from start to finish. This is about like, what, an hour and a half movie, and it doesn't waste a single second. The first portion, the first half an hour, is pure adrenaline fueled. It has a lot of escalation, has a lot of change up in the story. It has, you know, 80s kind of inspired montage sequences, even though it's a 1990 movie. It has this kind of really kind of funny kind of rocky training montage with guns and kind of hitting the punching bags. It deals with surprising character, you know, motivations in a different way than expected. It has some real emotional stakes with, you know, civilians being casualties being involved, and, you know, Ringo Lam's kind of caring for this little girl that was kind of burnt as a result of some of his actions and some of the bad guys' actions, and he looks after a dog as well. And yeah, all the characters are great. They're all well defined. They're all really likable. The bad guys are great as well. They're all very memorable. Yeah, you've got Ringo Lam chewing the scenery. You've got Southern Yip chewing the scenery, and you've got some great performances and great kind of character marks and motivations throughout it. Brilliant action set pieces. Brilliant. You know, landscape kind of cinematography. You've got some brilliant kind of, you know, lighting. The scene that made me laugh a lot was when Anthony Wong was going into that tunnel, and you see this like really bright red with a motorcycle which Ringo Lam on it. Brilliant. I love it. I love that kind of energy the film's going for. The music is great. Love this kind of, you know, energy spirit dance sequences that we get kind of every kind of, you know, 15-20 minutes or so in the film from the kind of girlfriend's character. Overall, bottom line, Full Contact is pure fun from start to finish. It's stylized, it's got a really dark sense of humor, it's got some brilliant one-liners, brilliant cast, really memorable kind of characters, very unique kind of style of action set moments. This is just full of energy. It kind of complements all the actors really well. There's even a few nods to kind of like, you know, Bruce Lee's The Big Boss, with some of the merchandise being side, like, you know, ice blocks and how that's played. It's brutal in times, it's very violent. The action set finale is brilliant as well. High escalation, high energy, very funny, very dark, and just a hell of a lot of fun. Absolutely go and check out Full Contact, and I really hope this gets a premium kind of. The DVD edition for this is the Hong Kong Legends, and it's fully uncut and does feature a lot of extras on it, for surprisingly. So this is pretty cheap DVD you can find in the UK, and it does feature like brand new digital remaster. You get audio commentaries, and you get kind of behind the scenes and making of how this film was made. But absolutely one of Ringo Lam's best movies, probably his best movie, I'd have to say. Wow, this film's incredible. Absolutely recommend Full Contact, guys, if you want a really fun film to watch. So.
这一定要高度戒備，當初了解已經知道我的情況。我們是來發財的，我們肯定輕易放棄。所以佢一定會喐鬧。你真係了解。
And now we come to Full Alert, released in 1997, starring Long Ching-wong as our main character and Francis Ng as our main kind of thief character, our bad guy for the movie. And this film's part of the re-release that was released last year. As mentioned, didn't get around to reviewing this or checking this one out during the time I think I was moving at this point. And I'm really surprised that I've put this film for so long, because this film was, again, fucking brilliant and in a very different way compared to Full Contact. And I think it was very appropriate to do both of these films kind of back to back, seeing the kind of the joy, the fun of Hong Kong filmmaking within the kind of Full Contact and just beaming full of energy and life. This film is depressing and dark as shit, but really, really well handled, and it's really kind of played in my mind quite a bit since watching it. It's a very simple film, but what makes the film unique, it has big escalation, big scale within a small concept. Both characters are really kind of put through the limelight of what it means to be a cop and what it means to be a thief in a situation around other thieves and other bad guys not trusting anyone, and what does crime truly pay, and what does being a hero cop, being a servant of the government and, you know, the service, really gets you by the end. And it really can deconstruct this. One of the things that's really apparent straight away from the opening of the film is that it says Full Alert, and then it does a giant stamp, as Hong Kong 1997, and this was at the time of the handover. This was when it goes to kind of mainland China, and things are about to change. The landscape of kind of Hong Kong and filmmaking and actors and storytelling was all about to go. It's all about to alter within this new wave of kind of, you know, takeover in a sense. And this film is very much a response to that. And we've seen a lot of this already within a lot of Hong Kong movies, especially with On the Run Yoon Byung film, which really tackles those ideas as well. This film is it feels like a pulse movie. It feels like this film feels razor sharp. It feels like it was going to cut you just even by watching it. It feels dirty. It feels grimy. It feels very raw and kind of, you know, scrappy in terms of the kind of the fights, the gunplay, the action moments. This film's not an action film. This is a straight up thriller. But when it does have big scale moments like the incredible car chase sequence, this reminds me of French Connection. It reminds me of this kind of just very much kind of handheld, just on the fly kind of movement. The action set piece is fucking brilliant for that car chase sequence, but it's not done in a stylized way. It's not done in a glorious way. All the violence and all the action and everything about what these characters are doing is presented in a non-glorified way. It doesn't pay to be the hero. It doesn't pay to be the bad guy. And you know, that's the one things I think was really well handled in this film. What makes it so unique and surprising, how the film really has a good sense of escalation. It has moments in the film which I wasn't really expecting for the type of story. The opening of the film, alongside many scenes and sequences, especially the ending of the film, plays like a horror movie in terms of the music and the scoring, the lighting, this, you know, showing this kind of corpse that's been killed in this kind of, you know, kind of water tank kind of thing, and you just see his like mutilated corpse, and it's like all blown up and puffy. Lan Xinguang's our main kind of protagonist, our main cop character, who's really going for a tough time in this film, who really is very much like a family man, someone who doesn't want to pull the gun on anyone. He's very aware of collateral damage, he's stressed, he's angry, he's moody, he's no longer thinks he's cut out to be a cop anymore. And this is very much a reflection of, you know, uncertain times in Hong Kong. And there's even lines and good moments throughout the film between other kind of superiors and other characters that are involved, and even people that do get killed off in the film. This idea of sustainability and the idea of uncertain future, and this has been tackled many times within Hong Kong cinema. And the fact that both our initial characters are both dealing with a crisis within their life and an uncertainty of my position within my kind of country, my kind of status, what's going to happen next to me in terms of the next step forward. And he is very much in doubt of himself. He's very much in his head, but he still is getting the job done. He's taking everything very personally. But our main villain character is also very much human. He's someone who's very much, he's made a lot of mistakes. He's, you know, he's professional in his kind of field, but he's having to do this kind of grand heist idea that he's been planning for a long time, working with people from Thailand, which he basically doesn't want to work with. They're very unreliable and trustworthy, and he has to get it done. He has to steal these millions to basically escape the country. He's toying a little bit of our main character, but also is sympathetic. And funny enough, though, both the actors in the film from a lot of the Giant Toe films, Exile, things like that kind of thing, Mad Detective, Running Out of Time. So it's great to see those two kind of actors are in a different type of movie, in a very much more of a darker movie, much more of a scrappier, kind of more razor sharp, kind of, you know, stylistic, kind of neon kind of thriller, which is very kind of like, you know, reminiscent of what was happening during the time. And this was a very much a pulse reaction to everything that's happening during kind of, you know, the takeover, 1927's takeover. The pursuit of stopping the bad guy, by the end, it comes to that question: was it worth it? What, you know, what did I achieve out of it? I've done my job, sure, but what's it cost me for doing it? And what innocent bystanders have gone the way? What people have died along the way? And the overall resolution to the film, I think, is absolutely fucking brilliant, and it really kind of adds more of a layer on top of what's going on in the film. Because despite the fact it's a very simple, you know, cat and mouse kind of chase kind of thriller, it has brilliant kind of appropriate escalations and scale factor that I wasn't really expecting in the film. It really surprised me. It added in kind of twists and kind of reveals that I wasn't really expecting either. But it's all done tastefully, stylistically within the film, and it's very well handled. And even when things go wrong, it's kind of keeps you on your toes as an audience member. The film is constantly challenging you as a viewer. Listening to the audio commentary on the edition and really kind of diving into what this film meant to Ringo Lam and why this film was made in the way it was, really kind of gives a lot more kind of clarity to the overall kind of impression that this film was Ringo Lam's goodbye to kind of Hong Kong cinema. This was, you know, he didn't make a full-on thriller-based kind of movie like this until 15 years later when he did Wild City, when that was not well received and not well liked. I haven't seen the film, but I heard it's not very good particularly, and this was his goodbye essentially to what kind of, you know, mainstream Hong Kong movies was, and the movies he did kind of after and were very kind of small and, you know, American based movies, but his kind of passion and his kind of sense of filmmaking and wild filmmaking and his sense of storytelling was no longer available anymore. He wasn't allowed to do these types of movies. And if you look at his kind of filmography from the start all the way to where it leads to that point, you can tell that a film like Full Contact would absolutely not be made nowadays. And same with Bird in Paradise, same with a lot of his movies. Very violent, very kind of politically charged movies. And this was his goodbye to that, and to that kind of death of Hong Kong cinema. So there you go, guys. It's been my review for both the full movies, Full Alert and Full Contact. Absolutely recommend both of these brilliant Ringo Lam movies. Definitely have really surprised me of how appropriate watching both these films kind of back to back was. Both very different in kind of their execution, but both offer some excellent Hong Kong experiences. Hopefully that gets a Blu-ray release down the line. I absolutely recommend checking down the Full Alert if you haven't seen the film already, guys. Really excited to check out Twin Dragons very soon, guys, from 88 Films' new lineup. So what are your thoughts and opinions on Full Contact and Full Alert? Please comment down below. What is your favourite Ringo Lam movie? Which one hasn't got a Blu-ray release as of yet? That definitely needs one, definitely needs that kind of bit more attention on it. Love to know your thoughts and opinions, guys. Please comment down below. So in the meantime, Anthony Reviews, signing out.